Donald Trump is in full-blown scramble mode, and the panic leaking out of this White House is impossible to miss. He's not even trying to hide it anymore. He's practically broadcasting his meltdown. The threats he's firing off at reporters, governors, and even fellow Republicans have grown more erratic by the hour, and he's plastering them across Truth Social like warning flares. His latest post is the clearest yet. An unhinged threat dropped moments after a resignation bombshell detonated inside his own administration, blowing another hole straight through his already collapsing term. The freakout is unmistakable. And to understand why he's spiraling this hard, look no further than the brutal reality laid out by Jasmine Crockett. His presidency has descended into pure embarrassment, and he knows it. They have made everything worse. It's like it was bad the first time, so bad that he got kicked out of office, and then unfortunately America got amnesia and somehow he ended up back in office, and now he is literally terrorizing everyone from children that are born in this country to children that aren't born in this country to adults. It is really sickening, and if we are really going to get back to where we are truly great in this country, it is going to take really looking at your neighbors and seeing their humanity. He was able to dehumanize people during the election, whether it was trans folk or whether it was the immigrant, he dehumanized. And if you study anything about the Nazis, that is where it all starts, is the dehumanization. And none of us should be sitting by. Even if we're not trans, even if we're not an immigrant, you have to understand that the dehumanization will come in for black folk. It will come in for women. It will come in for everyone. And that is why we unfortunately got here. But if we recognize where we went wrong, hopefully we can get back on track and recognize that our strength lies in our unity, because there's so many more of us than there are of them. This hateful, venomous regime that we're living under right now. Everything is cratered under Donald Trump. This is the man who swaggered into office promising to fix everything on day one. Yet the exact opposite has unfolded in real time. He didn't just fail to maintain the strong, stable economy Joe Biden handed him. He torched it. And spare me the spin about things being roughly the same. They aren't. He tanked it. Across every measurable category, the country is worse off. Inextricably worse. The only people thriving are billionaires plugged directly into his administration, or anyone with the last name Trump cashing in on crypto scams, insider deals, and a river of corruption. Everyone else, they're paying the price. And the polling shows the country knows exactly who did this. Well, take a look. These are all November polls. The best one of the group puts him at 14 points underwater. That's the Marquette University Law School poll. Tied for the worst he's ever had in that poll. Fox 17 points underwater. Marist 17 points underwater. The Reuters Ipsos poll 22 points underwater. And then taking the cake, the AP North poll 26 points underwater. When your best poll has you still 14 points underwater, you know it's truly bad. And it's as bad as 26 points underwater. We're talking about an average well underwater with the deep blue sea swimming with the fishes. And now this is all parties here. If you think this is bad, Harry, if you think this is bad, what is driving these horrific numbers for Donald Trump? Well, why don't we take a look at independents? Trump's net approval reign with independents back in January. He was close to even. He was at -4 points. Not great, but not terrible. Look at this number. 43 points underwater with independents in the most recent average of these polls. When you are 43 points underwater with independents, you know you're doing terribly. You can't win with this. If this holds for next year's midterm election, wave adios, amigos. Goodbye. See you later. To that House Republican majority and that Senate Republican majority very much in danger as well. When you take the look at the Pew Research validated voter survey going back to last year, he was basically even among independents with Kamala Harris. Now he is 43 points underwater. Whatever he is doing with independents, it ain't working. They despise him at this point. That is just a colossal. Oh my God, it's a 40-point move. Okay, that's among certain political groups here. How about what issues may be driving this? Okay, yeah, so we say that independents are driving Trump's decline overall. But it's obvious to anyone paying attention, and everyone paying attention is furious, that Donald Trump's administration is even worse than we imagined. The collapse is showing up everywhere in the polling, in the November elections, and in the panic. Now gripping Republicans ahead of a new wave of special elections. One of the most critical is happening Tuesday in Tennessee in a district Trump won by 22 points. The Republican who previously held the seat resigned after helping Trump pass his one big beautiful bill, the most unpopular piece of legislation of his entire presidency, then bolted for the private sector, assuming the district would remain safely red. It didn't. Trump's disastrous budget, his attacks on American cities, and the sheer toxicity of his administration have dragged the district sharply to the left. So much so that he's now resorting to open threats and fear-mongering to salvage it. On Truth Social, Trump posted a deranged plea demanding America First patriots turn out for GOP candidate Matt Vanep's, warning falsely that Democrat Afton Bain hates Christianity, wants to take your guns, supports open borders, and supposedly has disdain for country music. None of it is true, but it's classic Trump rejection, panic, and pure contempt for the very voters he's begging to save him. The truth is, no one despises MAGA supporters more than Trump himself. He's called them stupid, gullible, and ugly behind closed doors, and everything he says publicly confirms it. The real threat isn't coming from Afton Bain, who is an extraordinary candidate. It's coming from a collapsing Trump presidency, desperately trying to hold on to territory once took for granted. This race matters not just for Tennessee, but for the political earthquake it represents, and the tremors are already here. Well, the reason this race is competitive is because the Washington Republican agenda of delivering an economy that works for everyone has not delivered. And I think it's hilarious that Republicans and their billionaire friends are trying to spend millions to save a seat that they should win without thinking. But if we flip this seat, it will send a national message that the Republican Party needs to get serious about lowering healthcare costs. And before we dive into some of those aspects in your race, I do want to get your views on your party because there's been a debate for since last year about the way forward in the party and the like. And voters still have a very low opinion of Democrats per many public polls. Even one recent poll showed that just 29% of Americans have a favorable view of Democrats. So, what about your view about your party and your party's leaders? Specifically, about your party's leaders. Do you have confidence in your party's leaders? Well, I've been running this race as a Democrat that cares about affordability, and I think that's what's going to win it for us. I think that there is a new generation of leadership in the party, and especially from the South, where we want to see Democratic leaders that step up, especially in moments like this that require fearless, bold leadership, and that's what I'm offering the district, and I think it's resonating with voters. If you had a chance to, would you vote for Hakey Jeff as Speaker? We represent very different districts, and I've got 48 hours to flip a congressional district and really send a message to Washington, like I said, that they need to serious about healthcare costs. Honestly, I haven't thought about it. But I want to say that I have been really grateful as someone who has organized in the South her entire life. I've been very grateful for the national support in this race. Tennessee is often a state that is overlooked and disinvested in. And to see national surrogates and national supporters providing a monetary support and jumping in, it really means a lot to all of us. We welcome it all. Yeah. Speaking of that, because we are seeing both sides send in these big-name surrogates in these final hours before Tuesday and tomorrow, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is holding a tell-it rally for you. Are you in line with her ideologically? Like I said, I think that there is a strain of the Democratic Party that cares about holding corporations accountable and lowering costs for working families. And my politics are in alignment of that. I've been as a state legislator. I've worked to eliminate Tennessee's regressive grocery tax. As an organizer, I work to make healthcare more affordable in the state of Tennessee. And so, I think those are the Democratic leaders and candidates that I really resonate with, are those that are trying to lower costs for working families. Yeah. Because Trump has been calling you, quote, the AOC of Tennessee. So, aren't you just feeding into that narrative by appearing with her? Like I said, we're really grateful for the support across the political spectrum, and if you and for your listeners, the Tell-Eaton Hall also features former Vice President Al Gore, who is a Tennessee legend. So I look at it as iconic that you have, Democrats from all political stripes joining in on this moment and saying, we are standing up to what is happening in Washington and we want to be part of the solution rather than the problem. Yeah. Because some of those you are campaigning with, including AOC, have called for ICE to be abolished. You have been sharply critical of the ICE raids in Nashville. But do you think that ICE should be abolished? Like I said, I've got 48 hours to flip this congressional district and have been dogged about the message of affordability. And that's not what I'm hearing in the district. What I'm hearing is people, especially rural voters, are driving 4 hours to a hospital without care. We've got veterans that are going without care because the VA hasn't been fully funded. And so these aren't the issues that I'm hearing about in the district. What I'm hearing about is that grocery costs are high, utility bills are high, rent is high, and there's no kind of end in sight. And so my message has been one to lower costs. And I think it's resonating across the district. This is the kind of democracy we should be fighting for. Even if it's just a NODA, congressional race. It represents exactly the kind of engaged, high-stakes, people-powered politics this moment demands. And in a district that once broke heavily for Donald Trump, the possibility of flipping it isn't just symbolic, it's seismic. A win here would send a national message. Accelerate the wave of GOP resignations already beginning to crack Trump's coalition and push Mike Johnson one step closer to losing the speaker's gavel before the midterms. That would be monumental. The stakes are real. The momentum is building and this race is absolutely essential. The fight continues. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The next one is even more controversial.